So in this video I'm going to be attempting to bond my chinchilla Arnie, who is 14 years old, with BK, who is a 1.5-year-old male. So a little bit of backstory on Arnie. Arnie has been with other chinchillas before. When he was around 1 year old, he was with a female chinchilla, but I had to separate them for various reasons. And then for a little while he was with a male chinchilla, but they started to show signs of not getting along, and at the time it was best to separate them. So I have tried to bond Arnie since with another male, but that didn't work out. Though Arnie just didn't take to him at all. He can be a little bit territorial. So BK hasn't been with any other chinchillas either. The only chinchilla he's been with is his mum, which he obviously left when he was 8 weeks old, and he hasn't been with another chinchilla since. So I'm hoping that they'll bond together. I am using the smooshing method, which can be a little bit controversial within the pet world, because if it's done incorrectly it can be quite dangerous. So this is why I want to show you the correct method of using it. Now, little disclaimer, I have actually tried the side-by-side method first. So I have had them side by side in a cage, and I have had them out for playtime. And Arnie didn't take too kindly to another chinchilla being in his space. I'm trying this one last time to actually bond Arnie with another chinchilla. If this doesn't work, then Arnie will remain on his own for the rest of his life. But I wanted to give it one last try. So I understand that when you try to bond chinchillas, it can be an extremely nerve-wracking experience. And I know from when I first bonded my first 2 chinchillas, I was a nervous wreck about whether they were going to get along, whether they were going to fight. And I've learned throughout the years of bonding chinchillas is that the calmer you are, the better. It just makes it a little bit less stressful on everybody if you can remain calm. I know it's hard, but I've bonded so many chinchillas now that it's like it doesn't bother me at all. Okay, so what do you need for the smooshing method? You need to have a small pet carry case, and it needs to be big enough for them to both fit in, obviously, but not do much else. So basically to be able maybe for them to turn around in, that's about it. The one that I'm showing you now is probably the maximum size you want to go for. I'll put the measurements on screen so you can see what the measurements are. Now you can use a plastic one like the one that I'm using, but if you're using plastic you have to be extremely careful that they don't actually chew on the plastic. Or if you're not feeling the plastic ones, you can use like a show cage like they have on the show benches. Nothing bigger than this. A cat carry case, a dog carry case, dog crates, cat crates are all too big for this method. And the reason why is that the smaller the area, the less chance the chinchillas have of inflicting serious injury on each other if they do decide to fight. The bigger the area, the more lethal the fights can be. So you really want to restrict the amount of space they've got. Also, you want to make sure that there is easy access to the actual cage. So you've got to make sure that you can, if you need to get in to pull apart chinchillas, or if you need to get in to break up a fight, you need to be able to do it quickly. This one opens at the top. There's ones that open at the side, but it needs to be really, really easily accessible if you need to actually remove a chinchilla. Secondly, bar spacing. Obviously with cat and dog crates, the bar spacing is way too big. Chinchillas can get stuck or they can escape from these type of cages, so you really want to get the cage right. So it's really, really important. If you think you haven't got the right cage for it, just go out and buy a carry case for them. It's the easiest thing to do, really. It's an important thing to do. So what I've done with this pet carrier is I've actually put hay and some chew toys at the bottom of it so that it gives them something to be distracted with. Now you could use fleece if you're using wire, or you can use fleece on plastic. But as I say, if you're using plastic, just be ever so careful that they don't chew it. So I'm going to go and get Arnie, so I'll pop him in. And now I'm going to go and get BK and pop him in as well. So I've put them both in, and now you basically have to watch for their interactions. Here's some footage of what happened when I put Arnie and BK together. I'm super happy with how it went. Arnie didn't seem bothered at all by BK, not at all. There was a couple of early spats on where they'd actually been fighting over a stick of all things. Other than that, they seem to be getting on really well. If they do have a slight spat, it is normal. You can try moving the carry case so that it kind of distracts them from actually fighting, or you can gently tap on the case to try and stop them from doing it. If it gets into a serious fight, then obviously remove them immediately. But if it's just like a little spat between the two, then that's perfectly fine and normal. You want to leave them in this carry case for 4 to 6 hours. And I know this seems like a long time, but it gives them time just to sit there, bond with each other, and hopefully in the end they'll sleep and cuddle together. Fingers crossed. So yeah, you want to leave them there for 4 to 6 hours. And then once you've done that, I'm actually putting Arnie and BK into a completely separate cage. So they're not going in either of one of their cages, they're going into a completely new cage, but a cage that wasn't theirs. I often put lots and lots of toys in, and also I tend to leave the dust bath in there as well, because that gives them a distraction. So lots of toys, dust baths, something to give them a distraction from the fact there's another chinchilla in their space again. So I'm going to try that, and then you monitor them for longer to see how they interact in the cage. And if they're interacting fine, just leave them to it. And yeah, and I'll show you the results of what happened with Arnie and BK. Yay!